Welcome to CATtheMinion YouTube channel. My name is Teresa, but you can call me Cat. This is going to be a May reading for Virgo. So there isn't really a set spread here. What I'm doing is I'm practicing with my new Starseed Oracle deck that I got and my new Wild Unknown Archetypes book that deck that I got. So, I'm just shuffling out as many cards as it feels right for each deck. This, the Starseed Oracle, I've been compelled to combine it with the Work Your Light Oracle, and that would have probably sounded better if I had spoken the words correctly. So I have this big double deck now. So I've got some cards from there. I've got however many felt like they were going to come out of the Wild Unknown Archetypes here. I'm using, just so there's a little bit of actual tarot, I'm using my combined deck of Timber and Historical Fashion playing cards. So this is essentially minor arcana. And to get a subject for the reading, I'm using my bucket of charms here. Charms. I had this land on the top of the box, and it kind of stayed there while I was shaking it up, so I'm going to leave them there. With this heavily oracle and charm based reading, it's going to probably lean way more into energetic than practical stuff. But that's what's coming in for May. Now with Virgo, I had a hard time getting cards to really want to come out. I wasn't sure if I only needed 2 for this, and it seemed like I didn't really want to skimp on Virgo's reading because Leo got a ton of charms and cards. And I was like, come on, Virgo, tell me what's going on. So I have an assortment of cards right here. For this, I was like, okay, I need 4, because I'm not going to have, like, no cards everywhere else. And I had to kind of coax some extra charms out of the box. So we're going to look at the charms first. So what's kind of stuck to the box, that's stuck to the lid, is the yin-yang charm. So you have masculine, feminine, light and dark, polarity, duality, the toroidal energy, the feedback loop, the shape and essence, and the driving force of the universe. Because ultimately what this shape creates is spin. Something's in motion. Right. So I'm going to look at these charms here, and we'll get the rest of the upright ones first. So we have Honey Badger. Feisty little bugger there. Honey Badger doesn't give a shit. But notice Honey Badger, there's a duality there. There's a dark and a light. So the Nautilus, a cephalopod, a head-foot creature. Normally things that are polar opposites, but are now together. And we have the phi ratio. The maple syrup, pure grade A. The leaf tends to take on the phi ratio as well. Fibonacci sequential expansion of the growth pattern. So the maple syrup, we have the holly berries here. I'm going to put that with the maple syrup because they're both leaves. It's not quite turning over a new leaf, but it's in the ballpark. So I have another circular thing here with a border. This is the pentagram, but it could be representing the devil, or just Capricorn energies in general, or Saturn, or it could be representing Venus or the Mother Goddess. It might also be like the World card, if not the Devil. Could be the Empress. This over here with these duality things. And also upright, I have the message in a bottle. So I'm going to put that with the maple syrup because that's also a bottle. So I have inverted charms here too. So we have the crystal ball that's inverted. And when they're inverted, they land like this. So we have the record player inverted. So we have a broken record. Another bottle, this time it's pills. We have the scissors inverted. So there's a lack of cutting. And then we have the nervous system. All right. And that came inverted. It was like my nerves are shot. It's like aggravation, like a biting, cutting edge. It's kind of like the negative aspect of the Queen of Swords, that off with her head energy. It's like, oh, I gotta take some pills. I gotta calm down. You know, it's like trapped on this broken record of behavior because you can't really, you have no crystal ball. There's no vision. Now, I feel like the message in a bottle and the maple syrup and the holly berries have to do with the opposite of those aspects. And what's coming between is the nautilus, the honey badger, and these two things. Now, honey is sweet, and then so is the maple syrup. And then at Christmas time, there's usually lots of desserts as well. But the message in a bottle and the pill bottle are in direct opposition to each other. Especially if you think of, if you look at the pills and the crystal ball together, it's, you know, I'm taking medication and it's dulling my senses. Which it might be soothing your nerves, but it's also dulling your senses. And the antidote to pill bottles is a message in a bottle. It's information from the universe. You know, it's like, get your foot out of your ass. Or get your head out of your ass. There we go. Oh, I just got a lyric from Aerosmith. It's something, get your foot out of your mouth. It's from the Pump album. I was just listening to that again the other day. You want to be a wise guy, but your feet are in concrete. Sleeping with the dogs and you wake up with the fleas. Don't get mad, get even. Is that on Pump album or is that on the other one? Well, anyway, it's Don't Get Mad, Get Even by Aerosmith. Honey, don't get mad, get even. Oh, okay. That's kind of what Honey Badger does. It doesn't really get mad. It just, like, fucks everything up. It's like, oh, this snake I'm eating wants to try to poison me. I'm not going to get mad. I'm just going to keep eating it. Okay, so for the Oracle cards, we have Starseed, what lights you up. There's Saturn right there, so we had Saturn energy with this pentagram as well. I believe this might be Jupiter back here, but Saturn and Jupiter are both... I don't know if they're still going to be... Well, they should still, in May, be in Aquarius, because they don't move that fast. It takes a few months. But this card does seem a little bit like the Fool, which is Uranus energy, which is Aquarius. I got my papers are all screwed up over here. Sorry, I didn't mean to move the camera. So what lights you up? Right? It's like if everything makes you crabby, well, what do you like? Called Soul Gifts and Training. It's time to step up. That's that message in the bottle. So I am going to read that from the book because that's one of the new cards. And then we have Leap. So this is more Fool energy. You go first, the universe will catch you. Right? It's like throw that bottle into the ocean. And this is indicative also of being able to dive deeply, because there's a ocean crawling on the bottom kind of guy. Okay, so called. Let's look at this. Soul gift and training. These ones are in alphabetical order. You came to Earth with a double mission, to grow as a soul and to bring about a shift in consciousness. The shift in consciousness is all this Aquarian energy. Uranus energy. You're being called to remember that your soul intelligently chose the perfect condition to carry out your soul's mission and share your soul's gifts. So at some point, agitation is part of your process. Now, think about agitation, though, right? If you want to make a solution, if you want two different pieces of a solution to have integration, you have to agitate it. You have to stir it. What is this action? That is, it's rotation, it's spinning, it's stirring. And I'm also seeing with the maple syrup this idea of boiling down, right? This stress and agitation, it feels like you're getting to a boiling point and you can't take it anymore. You know, this same old shit, like, I need, like, argh. The boiling point is that you have to boil down this, this syrup is essentially, you know, water. But, oh, okay, I'm getting pine sap with the holly berries. It has to be boiled down repeatedly to get to the syrup. And that's kind of what this is as well. There's, and again, boiling is like agitation of the molecules. There's something pure and useful and high quality coming out of experience. There's also this idea of like, not like, I'm getting Galaxy Quest, never give up, never surrender, because this thing, it's like I'm leading my path with my head with the cephalopod, but then Honey Badger just keeps fucking going. So it's this idea of, you know, stay in line with your task, which is what you're called to do. It's like, you know, you might get waylaid. This might be that snake like biting you with the venom when you're trying to eat it. The agitation point. But at some point, you might, you know, wake up after your little 10-minute nap of dealing with that venom, and you're going to continue on with your mission. You know, it's not like, it's like, it takes a long time for the message in the bottle to get all the way to shore. So during that time, you might think that your life has been a pile of crap, but like once you like read, you know, once you get the diploma in the bottle there, it's like, oh, like, okay, this is what I'm doing. It's like getting your W-9 or whatever the fuck it is that says you can work. If you're feeling underprepared or thinking, who am I to do that? This card is guiding you to step up and leap. That's what this card says. And this strictly says leap on it. Consider perhaps that your soul has been training for this moment right here for lifetimes. Okay. There's another card that says I've been training for this for lifetimes that came up in a different reading, but this is a different card. But these, I mean, essentially this card wasn't even needed. All right, let's look at the archetypes. The Ring. 57. So that looks kind of like a portal, but it's also this idea of spinning. That these two, that this has, and this also has. And this spiral as well. It looks like one of those Calabi-Yau manifolds. The and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly because I've only read it in print. But they talk about those in one of those Brian Greene books. Was it like The Elegant Universe or whatever the other one's called there? I don't remember. I read them both, but I still don't remember the titles. So we have the ring. And we have the poet. This is the crystal ball. Right? But there's, like, the head is missing. It's like it exploded into a stream of birds. It's like where I'm going somewhere in my consciousness. I'm bringing down this creativity. I'm called to manifest something. So let me read these. So these have suits in them. What is it? It's people, places, tools, and actions or something like that. It's the fourth one. Initiations. Okay. So we have a person and we have a tool here. Let me look at the poet first, because that's the self that's going to be creating. Now, what's interesting is that a poet often talks about the sort of the story where the hero's journey. You think of these like long epic poems where something is happening, right? Every story that's ever told, there's something happening. No one just sits there and, takes a nap or whatever. It's like there's always some adventure going on, or there's no point in telling it. Even if it's an internal or mental journey. Missing hero. Okay, what am I looking for? The poet. 7. 57 and 7. I'm finding that I get a lot of matching numbers with these cards when they come out. And I did shuffle them quite a bit. Clear the decks and all that. I'm looking at the ring. No, the poet. I'm looking at the poet. I'm going to start another segment. Okay. Yeah, the witness and the truth teller in the artist. It's likely there is a poem or a poet that was meaningful to you at a young age. Revisit and reread it now. Be open to its message. Now, what's interesting, I hate it when I say that. I say that all the time and I watch myself back and I'm like, stop saying that. This record player, even though it's a broken record, you think of like children's nursery rhymes, children's songs. Those are usually the kind of poetry that children are encountering. And it could also be spells in fairy tales. That's another form of poetry that children are more likely to encounter. Rhyming games, jump rope games, things like Alice in Wonderland with Jabberwocky. Those are the kind of poems that children are more likely to encounter. And then, of course, song in general is poetry. The poet is related to the shaman and the bridge. Okay, those are 2 other cards in the deck. These archetypes hover in the meeting place between the everyday and the sacred. So this kind of deadening the nerves of the sort of day-to-day treadmill with pills or other kinds of drugs or food or activity blocks off from the spiritual. And this creative, I almost said creativity, this creative flow helps bring back in these universal truths. It's kind of like I think, unless I'm making it up, I think I recall from like a video of the making of Moulin Rouge. They were talking about when they're doing the musical scenes. I feel like some of the stuff they sang like live during the filming, but I could be mistaken with that as well. But either way, they said for the scene when they were singing the songs, they didn't have to try to act the emotion because the emotional truth was there in the music, in the lyrics, in the flow of the poetry itself. The poet's work is to feel immensely and to not be afraid. They must seek out the truth in the darkest corners of the world and carry it back for all to see. That's kind of what this message in a bottle does. It's sort of going all over the world, and then this leaping and the Nautilus going deep into the ocean is sort of getting movement into those crevices. And the idea of the syrup too, it's like dredging it up. Like tapping into something. Oh. Tapping into creativity, tapping into the lifeblood. And what's interesting, well, venom is sort of similar to the tree sauce there, or the sap. Tree sauce. Sometimes I can't do words right, and I say really weird things. When the poet energy is present, there is a call for deep honesty and reflection, for seeing the big picture within the little one. That's what this does, right? It's like zooming in to a fractal and then seeing the same pattern and then zooming in again and seeing the same thing. And it just sort of wraps back in around itself. That's what this Mobius strip cluster is doing. The poet rides effortlessly between the personal and the universal. That's as above, so below kind of stuff. Others may not seem to listen or care about the poet's work, but don't be discouraged. That's kind of the message in the bottle, too, is that the expression is ignored, except in, certain circumstances where it finally catches someone's eye and they're like, hey, what's this? The words of the poet ring true for centuries to come. Look, they ring true. Soothing the wounds of despair and violence that captivate our world. Despair and violence is this, like, turning off the nerves energy. Find your voice and trust that the wind will carry it, okay? So this, I don't actually have a drawing of this in my charms, but this is very similar to a wingnut, if you've ever seen one. It's got, like, a little nut, and then it has like a papery leafy thing, and there's two of them stuck together, and they just kind of spin around, right? Spin there, it's, again, coming off of the tree, and that's how it germinates. The wind carries it, right? The waves carry the message. All right, so let's look at the ring 57. Almost there. Okay, too far. Roman numerals screw me up every time. And the larger ones just don't work for my brain. Take stock of the jewels you adorn yourself with. Watch out for rings you wear out of habit that keep you connected to the old you. Interesting. Study images of the mandala, the unus mundus, the Ouroboros, or Ouroboros. I really need to look up how that's supposed to be pronounced. And the medicine wheel. Oh, okay, so the ring and the wheel are kind of related, but there's still an aspect of spin. And there's I see sacral and root energy coming off here as well. Connectedness. Rather than viewing life as linear, as a series of progressive achievements, the ring challenges us to sense the cyclical, infinite nature of our world and experiences. There's a mouthful. Oh, here's the important one. Beginnings and endings fall by the wayside as we practice seeing ourselves as part of the cosmic circularity of creation. And that would have been better if I hadn't screwed that up in the middle. Practice seeing ourselves as part of the cosmic circularity of creation. Right, the yin and the yang, the feedback loop, co-creation. Mimics the Earth's orbit around the sun. It says this card calls us to deepen connection with self, other, and the world at large. It could also be literal, but I don't really see any other romantic stuff going on here. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have to be. Because look at this. All of these cards have young feminines in them, which is Virgo. And the ring would indicate that Virgo is maturing and possibly on the threshold of moving into the next phase, which would be the Empress or the Mother. But that's also not explicit here. What looks like to me is that there's inner child work being done here. It's not that the inner child is necessarily growing up, it's that the inner child is being integrated into the adult self, so that suppressed creativity and anxiety can be released, right? What the head and foot together is like a little kid. Their feet and their head are a lot closer together than adults, right? It binds your child self to your adult self. It's part of an integration. It's one of the dualities of having this youthful creative expression, but also having like a practical way of like completing the task, right? To step up, to move into your purpose, but to maintain that connection. Because the inner child is really your higher self in disguise, but there's an aspect of innocence and play involved. So let's look at these cards here. So the Ace of Wands inverted, and this character, notice how it looks like a little kid, right? Playing superhero dress up with a blanket. But it's inverted. But I said inner child healing, the core issue, right? The Ace of Wands is like the solar chakra. Eight of Cups inverted. So Eight of Cups is like walking away from emotional baggage, but here it's like I'm stuck in it, and it takes on this Eight of Swords quality. I'm stuck in a mental prison. But because it's Eight of Cups, the energy comes off a little differently than it would for Eight of Swords. So Eight of Cups is Saturn in Pisces, right? We have this Saturnian energy here. Pisces is the subconscious, right? I have to work on my subconscious, something that's so unknown to me. It lives only in my nervous system, and I don't know why I need pills to calm down. Right? This broken record of emotional trauma of some sort. Okay. So again, the adult self and the inner child. This Jack of Pentacles could be the Knight, or it could be the Page. In this case, I feel like it should be the Page, because that takes on the number 11. Now, I've assigned to the Page of Pentacles Plutonian energy. which is giving me a background energy of judgment, which would be completion and release. And this, in terms of release, it looks like the kid is going to be let out of prison and, you know, let's go get some ice cream or something. You can pick out your Christmas present. And we have the Two of Pentacles inverted. Two of Pentacles energy is Jupiter in Capricorn. Now I was talking about Jupiter and Saturn over here. This Two of Pentacles energy is usually trying to juggle a couple of things at once and not being really sure what you're doing. When it comes inverted, it's like I've made a choice or the decision has been made for you. You know, it's like there's no hemming and hawing anymore. What are you going to do? You know, it's like you don't need to juggle your jangled nerves anymore. Why are you holding on to all these broken cups when you could clearly make a choice to experience this sort of flying leap into integration? So, and I did feel this huge reluctance when I was trying to get information in cards for Virgo. It's like I don't wanna, like I feel too stressed out to move past inner child wounding. Right? I'm stuck in this phase where Honey Badger's still passed out for a minute with all that venom. It doesn't feel like anything delicious and tasty is coming. You know, I don't feel like I'm being blown into a new mindset. But notice how the wingnut thing is blowing around is a lot like the Fool leaping off the cliff. There's a shift in the cosmic consciousness, and the way for Virgo to deal with this inner child integration is to have to sort of get on this feedback loop with the inner child, and the main way to get there is creativity. So poetry, words. It could be visual too. It could be physical. Right? Anything that takes on this method of poetry, right? It could be interpretive dance. It could be you know, it could be like rapping, like beat poetry. It could be writing poetry. You know, if you get there by dirty limericks, you could do spells. You could read fairy tales. You could write fairy tales. Anything to start that creative feedback loop. Because if the poetry becomes fun, then the story will unravel. And the nature of what method you use to express yourself will start opening up the training and the gifts that are explained in this card. So it doesn't literally have to be writing poetry, but it's anything that has a similar outcome. Painting, drawing, singing, writing programs, maybe. Writing video game programs. It's anything in that kind of zone. Creating, like, sculptured gardens, maybe. Like, landscaping. That tells a story, too. You know, topiaries, tree work, forestry, anything like that. I think that's all that's there for Virgo. I mean, I managed to get quite a lot out, but that it's, you know, that inner child really doesn't want to come out of the hermit hole. And because there's been a lot of pain that's just been held on to. So there has to be this like establishment of trust with your inner child so that it can start releasing the poison. Oh, I get a little dizzy there. Oh, my neck's all crunchy. Okay. So if you, I'm going to zoom this in on my sign here. Come here. I didn't make that kitty paper clip. Somebody gave it to me. If you want to get a personal reading, the complete list of readings I offer and how much they cost is going to be linked in the description box underneath here. If you'd like to help keep this channel chunking along, you can donate. So it's CATtheMinion. It's either PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo. And then if you'd like stuff for that energy exchange, I've got coloring books, dark poetry book, merch, prints, actual art items. There's a coupon code there for Etsy. If you go through the link tree, it should pop in at the top of the page. You can follow me on social media to see what I'm doing. And when I do ads, you can see certain highlighted works, or you can just go browse through stuff. Photo prints, calendar, canvas, mouse pad, coffee cups, t-shirts, blankets, and towels and little bags, phone cases, watercolor, drawings, some acrylic paintings, some old oil on paper, stuffed animals, foam lotus, and I get a couple of spare doll parts over on Etsy too. So those are all kinds of things that I have available besides the readings. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, check out my playlists tab, my discussion tab, and stay groovy, and we'll see you later. Bye.